So I think what we need to talk about now, beyond...
What's going on?
All right.
Why?
I think what we need to talk about now is insults that are actually compliments. We get these all the time.
Yeah, pardon me, yes.
And we got them on the last episode when we had you on. We also get them
in the debate as well.
We got them on the debate.
Oh,
we get them regularly.
Now I got to hear all of these. I didn't know there was a whole set of them.
Yeah, we get.
Now I'm intrigued.
People try to insult us by complimenting us, and
it's really weird. I don't know how to do it.
And it's equal parts endearing and kind of creepy.
Yeah.
So
one of the main comments here is I've been skeptical about Carrier's work since he got a reputation as being an SJW.
So for those of you that are not hip,
I had to look it up.
SJW, like Sean, SJW is
I got called out on
social justice warrior.
Yes, this is a derogatory term.
A supposedly derogatory term.
In the was the Urban Dictionary internet what?
Because
some stupid dictionary. The SJW is a social justice warrior as a derogatory term, and it's derogatory because this is someone that just does nothing for social justice, except for just sit on their couch. In the worst way the term is used is sit on their couch, type online and just raise awareness for social issues, which kind of seems like not a derogatory thing. Like even at the worst of it,
if you sit there and just describe it, this sounds awesome.
You're actually if that's all you've done is write on somebody else's blog or somebody else's YouTube channel that they are SJWs, then that's embarrassing to you, but a compliment to the person that you're actually trying to insult.
Yeah, it's a really difficult. I think it only gets spread because it's such a difficult thing to rebut. Like, how do you, you just already?
Yes, I am a social justice warrior. I'm very proud of it. I think we all should be. If you're not, shame on you.
Like it's like in starting the insult war by insulting yourself. It's like, well, I'd respond, but I think I already won.
Right.
It's like I don't.
So
So your response.
Oh, that's right. We have a guest.
It's funny. Yeah. I've never actually had. I mean, I know people say that about me, but they never said it to my digital face.
I'm saying it to your face right now.
Yeah, right.
You're an SJW.
But that's the thing, is had they done,
piece of shit.
Right,
that's what he said.
Thank you. Just say thank you and move on.
I do all the things that I can within my means to try and rectify or help or alleviate these social justice issues.
Sure.
Making people aware of them, making people understand them better, educating people about them.
Calling people out when they abuse them.
Yeah, well, that's like the
or
one
are
thing
ignorant
I
of
can
them.
do that doesn't cost millions of dollars, right?
I will say this. That's a very good point, because everybody does social justice at different levels, and at the level that I participate, the level that Sean participates in, at least, we do a number of different things. We have an outreach booth that we run at Balboa Park. That's for non-religious people. We talk to religious people all the time. We do a show where we try to get religious people on. That's this show. We organize debates. We organize talks with religious people. It's less than a lot of people do, but more than some people do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we are able to do with whatever time and resources that we have.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, and there have been many other fellow social justice warriors, whom I greatly respect, whom I greatly respect and do these kinds of things. Like,
derogatory.
Like Hina Databoy, for example. She did,
in Orange County.
Yeah, right. Yes. She did.
I love you.
She wrote a blog a while ago making the point that all the things that the atheists who criticize social justice warriors use that as a derogatory term. All the things that they want us to do, all the things that they think are awesome and good to do, are social justice things.
Right.
It's just they're
Entirely
social
correct.
justice for atheists.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's fuck everybody else. But
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
but if you're so things like atheist rights, things like
Right.
not having to have the Pledge of Allegiance, for
And separation of church and
Exactly.
state.
separation
Yeah.
of church and state. Those and then writing about it. That's exactly the same thing we're doing, except
Right.
we're expanding our sphere of interest and realizing there
Exactly.
are other marginalized and harmed people that
Exactly.
we
Yeah.
can do things for and pay attention to.
And I'm glad you bring this up so that viewers know this is basically a show about religion. It's a show about various different beliefs, but I think I can speak for Sean as well when I say that we are very engaged in other issues as well. LGBT community, the issues, women's rights, which are very important to us. And
We're fans.
We're just fans, and if you're not, shame on you. We address religion mostly because it impacts all of those things so drastically, but we don't want to give anybody the impression that it's only religion that we're interested in.
You know, this may be a good point. I think I might have mentioned it on the show before, but the entire reason that I'm a part of this, the entire reason that I got...
Oh, yes, you did it last time. Yeah.
Oh, did I?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
okay.
last episode. Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
No.
You'll have to watch the last episode.
But like you said, yeah.
Teaser.
I mean,
The reason you became an
I
atheist,
was not-
the reason you became an atheist activist
Yeah.
is all based on the evils.
Right.
that
I
you're
was not
combating.
indoctrinated with any religion as a child. I was very involved because of friends and so forth, and work as a teenager in different religions. I mean, I ended up going through, as we've discussed before, the seminary school in the Church of Latter-day Saints. This is just because my best friend is a Mormon. So I went with him because we did everything together. We went to parties and I had fun and he drove me home. And in the mornings, I would go to seminary school with him. This is a good friendship.
And we are not averse to religion per se. I don't care what you believe privately. What we are averse to is the kinds of behaviors that emanate from religious or are caused by
That affect other people.
I think more
Yeah.
appropriately, we're not averse to
voting.
religious people.
no.
We are averse to religious teaching and thought
Yes.
and behavior.
Yeah, that leads to behaviors and decisions that actually harm your neighbors.
Yeah,
that harm
and
other
that
people.
was my thing. I didn't notice as a teenager, obviously, because I was a teenager, you know. But you get it. So
Okay, Captain Obvious, go ahead.
it's amazing I can still speak. But I realized as I got a little older, as I became an adult, I had a bit of an activist nature in me. I just realized that there were a lot of things I had seen. There were a lot of things I'd heard about. There are a lot of things that I realized I'm not okay with. I can't live my life doing nothing about. My life, simply to me, emotionally, intellectually, was just not worth living if I didn't try to stop certain evils that I had seen. If I didn't just try to make the world a better place, it wasn't a life worth living to me. And so I did a lot of research, and everything that I looked into, that I thought that this was an evil that, without a doubt, without argument, with any facts involved, this needed to be stopped, or this needed to, we needed to raise awareness for this, or whatever it may be. Everything I looked into, I realized, okay, so how do we do it? I can attack this. I can attack the idea that this is okay. I can attack the idea that this is not okay. I can attack, whatever it may be. Every single time I came down to something that I thought I should get involved in, the stem root of it was always religion.
Yeah.
Was always religious thought. It may not have been all religion. It was just dogmatic thinking, if we can put it plainly. It was dogmatic thinking.
Yeah.
Dogmatic thinking is the problem.
Yeah.
And that was the root cause. So do I attack ignorant people for not thinking that women might be at least an equal? Do I attack people for not thinking that same-sex partners might not be a problem? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I realized all I needed to do was attack dogmatic thinking, and I could just wipe the board with all this stuff. You know, whether it was killing an abortion doctor, or whether it was stopping people from being able to be with their loved ones, with their life partner on their deathbed. Whether I think you get the picture. On and on and on. It was all religion. The most promising. Study in medicine, being that stem cells, no matter what it was just always religion getting in the way. It was always just dogmatic thinking. It was always just non-factual, not evidence-based, just assertion, just nonsense.
Your primary goal, though, was you're seeing the injustices and wanted to correct them, and then it was finding religion being the main enemy. That's what led you towards the evangelistic aspect of it and trying to combat religion.
Yep.
It's the secondary goal in order to achieve the primary goal, which is more social justice, a better world for people living.
Sure.
Yeah, I exactly. Now, the thing that shocked me in the last 2 years is that there are a lot of atheists who retain a lot of these religious attitudes about gays or women or blacks, even in some cases.
But they're number-wise, it should be stated. Number-wise, yes, there's a lot. Percentage-wise,
yes, that's a very good point.
It's shockingly minimal.
Yeah, and that's
in our community.
This is a point that I've made to a lot of people. It's sometimes people have asked like, is this becoming a problem? Like, is atheism becoming just like the Catholic Church essentially?
Right.
And the thing I point out is actually we're growing. There's way more out atheists, way more organized atheists now. The percentages of people who have racist or sexist ideas are the same. But when you have the absolute numbers, the effect can be so impressive. So if you have 100, or if you have a group that's 50 people, and let's say you have 1 out of 100 is a totally evil bastard, you have maybe a 50% chance of even one person in your group that's going to be that, and it's easy to control that. You can get rid of them.
We have a perfect example. I mean, with the outreach booth that we started in Balboa Park in San Diego. I'll explain it quickly just in case anyone doesn't know. There's Balboa Park. Look it up.
Yes.
It's amazing. It's beautiful. But there, every Saturday, Sunday, there's just tent after tent after tent, just all along the Prado there. This main walkway street where there's tourists and locals and everybody walking around. Museums and just beautiful scenery. But there's a Jehovah's Witness booth. There's a Mormon table. There's a Scientology. They've got their e-meter out. The Muslims are standing there with their beards looking like me. And there's a number of Christian tables. The Hare Krishnas are out there chanting. I mean, literally, this is all there. I mean, they're just all there.
Yeah.
And so we said it's right next to the famous San Diego Zoo. Maybe it might be time for us to show face.
Yeah.
And so we put a booth out there saying, there might be a hell or whatever, but, live your life, don't worry about it.
And it was, and the goal has become really to do outreach to other non-believers to let them know that there's a community, because there's so many people,
quote unquote Christians, American Christians.
There's so many people that believe that they're the only atheist they know.
Oh, that, yes.
And so they come up to us constantly and thank us for being there, because they have no idea that there's a large group of
we talked about that last
know.
episode.
And that's what I mean by the quote-unquote Christians. These people that go to church, they think that, if I'm to tell people that I'm a good person, the way I do that, without showing it in a simple word, is just say, I'm a Christian.
Right.
Which is, obviously nonsense. But demonstrably so. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, we put that booth out there, and we get so much of that, like you said, just people saying, I had no idea you existed. I thought I was alone. Still today, even after the reign of the Four Horsemen,
Yeah, and the internet.
Yeah. It's
Somehow they
it's-
think that all happens elsewhere and not in their town.
Sure,
you
right,
know.
yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't know, if you're in a town where you think this doesn't exist, go to meetup.com and or Facebook. I think those are the two main places. If your town is incredibly religious, you probably have an incredibly active atheist community in your town. You just have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much anytime you you name a city, put atheist meeting, and Google will find shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Atheist, agnostic, skeptic, humanist. Sometimes they hide under softer names like humanist.
Yeah.
Well, so we get the arguments from all sides. We get the arguments from the believers and the non-believers, and the arguments are fallacious regardless of which side they come from.
Right.
I came to the same conclusion that Sean did, which was that, everything is affected by this kind of belief, whether it's Christian or whether it's Muslim or no matter what it is, this kind of supernatural kind of thinking.
It's just an irrational type of thinking, dogmatic thinking.
Is very harmful. It's harmful not only to yourself, but it's harmful to others. And it's harmful to yourself because there are a lot of people that, I was in the grocery store the other day, checkout counter, and I said, just friendly exchange with the lady at the checkout counter, and I said, how are you doing? And she said, oh, not very good. She basically said something about just waiting for the next life. And I thought, wow, that is pathetic and tragic, that you are going to...
You said that?
I didn't say that to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
You thought, okay.
I thought, how
I'm tempted
pathetic
now to
and
say that. But
tragic that is, because people are wasting their life thinking that there's going to be this eternal afterlife
That's right,
that they're
yeah.
going to go to. So it's not just harmful in the views that it espouses towards minorities and women and
Oh, I see.
LGBT.
Yeah, absolutely.
but it's also very harmful to yourself to have
Yeah.
these kind of beliefs, or can be. So I find the same thing that Sean does, which is that if you're battling this type of belief system, then that's a broad brush across most of the stuff and that includes scientific discoveries. Scientific discoveries have always been forever held back by the religious people in charge.
Right, yeah.
So
Galileo didn't think so.
yeah. So there's any number of reasons, but I tend to think that it's a pretty good way to get a lot of social ills by focusing on one particular topic.
Yeah, which is what we all do.
Yeah.
But then you get people like that atheist
Right.
who's commenting,
Right.
who have the same have this negative idea about trying to make the world a better place and advocating for these things. And so it's not always just the superstitious, supernatural thing, because I run into this attitudes about women, attitudes about the world that are false that come from atheists as well,
Yes.
and I run into that a lot.
Atheists
and
are not
when we-
immune to irrationality or
It's the same thing.
or
Like
even superstition.
if we saw these same attitudes being espoused by a Christian preacher, they'd be all over that, right? But it's when it's coming from atheists, suddenly we're supposed to not talk about it.
Right.
Which is doubly ironic because we actually criticize them for not policing their own, not talking about their own, not criticizing their own.
Yeah.
So if we think they're wrong for not doing that, we obviously should be doing it as well. Like if that's what we think should be happening, we should be doing that as well. And so so for people to try and insult me by saying that I do that, I'm quite proud to receive that insult.
Yeah,
I am as well. The first time I read that, I just felt pride.
Yeah.
That's really all I felt. So if you want to write in and accuse me of being a social justice warrior, please do that. It makes me feel a lot better.
I'll frame it. But back to the booth. I mean, you and I have talked about it a number of times personally. When we
I
started
hardly
this,
even know you.
we've only been on like 10 episodes.
More than. I was episode 12.
Were you?
So
And there was a pilot that we didn't even count.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Less than 20. We're so
Less than
lazy.
100.
We apologize for our laziness.
He apologizes for his laziness.
Yeah. He's always
I
pushing.
don't. I don't apologize for our laziness.
The retired guy is always pushing.
I'm proud of, I say stick with your strengths.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
do what you can do.
yeah, exactly.
And being retired is Jim's strength.
Well, it's not that retirement is my forte. It's that slacking is my forte.
No.
And so retirement fits right into that.
Yeah.
To that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a beautiful way to slack.
It's a supernatural power.
So
It is.
I've
A
always
superhero
gone
power
with
is
my
really a
strengths.
superpower.
I've always gone with my strengths.
Yeah.
I recommend it. You should try it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we've had the issue. So we opened this booth and we opened it. We announced it to our local secular humanist communities, our secular humanist groups, our local scientific skeptic groups, our local atheist, agnostic groups, our free-thinking secular groups, and you mentioned, I think you mentioned some number of like 50 or something, and we've talked about a lot of times, anything you do that gets over 10 random people is gonna have some asshole in it.
Yeah.
Is gonna have some guy that just or a girl that just doesn't necessarily belong. And atheists are what 20% of the national population openly now, and some 35% of those under 30.
And we start at a disadvantage because to be an atheist in and of itself, there's no philosophy there. There's no common thread there at all.
Yeah, it's just I don't buy your shit.
I don't buy that particular shit. So
Yeah.
So there's not even the common thread of believing in some nominal being that you have. So you're
Or that there could be
starting
no
actually at a
possibility of
disadvantage.
any nominal being. Yeah. So I mean, we've laughed about that a lot. I mean, because we've had an issue. We've had multiple issues of certain people volunteering at our booth that just they go talk to people and they're like, yeah, me too, I'm against same-sex adoption.
Yeah, right. So they're representing us, and
hell
there's
is
not
this
much you
person-
can do in a public forum like that.
We try to be open, but
Yeah.
luckily I think the best thing is that we've had this booth.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, and by the way,
a
global
good
warming is a
example.
hoax.
Yeah,
You
we've
know,
had one of
Yeah, oh,
those.
sure.
People-
We've had
We
one
know
of
about
those.
that. We know
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Actually, I believe that person's still there.
That's one of the many atheist mythologies.
He
we
hasn't
have
brought
some.
that up since.
Atheists have
let
their
me
own myths as
assure
well.
you.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you do happen to watch this, you know who you are, and piss off, please. Stop showing up every Saturday. We don't want you there. Global warming is a thing. Look it up.
And it's a real thing. Well, God is a thing too, but that's an imaginary thing.
Surely.
Yeah.
Oh.
May have had too much to drink on this episode.
So, but you had the social justice warrior thing.
Oh yeah, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, for being
That's
a
what
social
the-
justice warrior.
Yeah.
Oh, does it say shit? Is that shit?
Yeah, piece of shit. Yeah.
Wait, I gotta read the
SJW
spelled
piece of
correctly?
shit.
An SJW piece of shit.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like
They're half right.
yeah. It's like what? You philanthropist piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't get it.
I like that.
That's
I
the
like
weirdest
that.
combination,
I
of
know.
words.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow, you don't hate black people, you piece of shit.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do-gooder piece of shit.
You think that women are equal, you piece of shit.
I'm sorry. Go on, you piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. No, so read the whole thing.
Oh, by the
This
way,
is-
please don't have your kids watch this episode.
This is the PG-13.
We forgot to
plus.
mention that.
Oh, it's too late now.
It's not a Christian guest, a believer guest on this episode. So
Right, yeah.
tell your kids to fuck off.
No, but so what he says is, I've been extremely skeptical about Carrier's work since he's got a reputation of being a dishonest SJW piece of shit.
Oh yeah, you're a dishonest
One.
Yeah.
Oh,
For
well,
this
that's an
reason,
entirely different-
I've been impatiently waiting for debates taking place after publication of On the Historicity of Jesus to see if he's able to hold to his own, even outside the circle jerk of no free thought blogs with a Z.
Right.
And I have to say, I'm pretty impressed. Wow, he has to concede it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I expected that if he's full of shit, this is a good logical progression.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
argument.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
If
no,
he's full of
Rambling.
There's no fallacious arguments involved here.
I mounted up my
is this-
horse and
this
rode
is-
off in all
Is this
directions.
modus tollens or modus
Word,
ponens?
word for word,
Uh,
just a straight, logical, rational mind working
I
here.
expected that if he's full of shit, an opponent would be able to torn him apart. Okay.
To torn him apart.
Yeah.
To tear him apart, I'll be charitable and correct his grammar.
We'll
but
edit that part out.
But the poor Christian guy had almost nothing. Well, noting. I'm correcting it to nothing. In his opening, he
Spell check, people, spell
he
check.
Mend.
strawmanned the shit. He strawmanned the shit out of Carrier's arguments. This is like a British comedy skit. I'm gonna read it the way they do. So in his opening statement, he strawmanned the shit out of Carrier's arguments. Brackets. I've read on the historicity recently, so I could clearly tell. End brackets. And in the discussion, he tried to press him on several points, but after Carrier's responses, the only thing he was able to say was basically, "Okay, moving on. Nothing to see here." But again, maybe Carrier only chooses weak opponents.
That's right.
Nice. Nice. He conceded everything until the very end, and then he went, "Oh, but I got the secret."
Well, I find fascinating. This is the first time I've seen someone try to argue that because they disagree with me on moral issues and social justice issues, that therefore
Your scholarship is full of shit.
I should be equally sucky at everything.
Yeah.
And they're so convinced of this that they even have the last comment like, "Well, I have this default explanation.
Yeah,
that
right,
There was just
right.
a weak opponent.
Yeah.
It must have been."
Full admission. Dr. Carrier makes a horrible grilled cheese. Therefore, I've never trusted his history.
Now that's a lie. That's a lie.
It's true.
See,
Because-
you're
It's true.
slandering him again.
It's true.
I hate cheese, so I would never make
Yeah.
grilled cheese. I would be nauseated by it. But
I think you reminded me that last. I think I actually responded to this one. I hope you don't mind. I responded for us, Jim.
But no,
You
the
often do.
Before
We're
you
the
read that-
royal we.
Before you read that, I find this fascinating because one of the things that the things you find most frustrating when Christians interact with you and they think you're so intelligent and so informed and you know so much stuff about the Bible, it doesn't make any sense that you're an atheist. Like they have this
Yeah.
cognitive dissonance,
Right.
like
Yeah.
there must be something wrong there. And it's the same thing going on here. It's the exact
Happens
same
exactly the opposite
attitude
way.
that the Christians have that
Yeah.
you're so intelligent, so on the ball, and so careful in all their points. I don't understand how you can be a feminist.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Right, or you're such a piece of shit SJW that
Right.
that you care about
Can we
all
just
these
call it a
social
POS?
issues.
What's that?
A POS.
Where are we trying
Oh,
to?
yeah,
SJW.
Are we trying to get
A
back to
POS.
the PG-13
No,
rating at this
POS.
point?
No, I'm just trying to keep it consistent.
Yeah.
I'm going to just keep saying
An
SJW.
POS.
We
yes.
should use a POS.
I just
It's consistency.
social
all about
justice
consistency.
warrior.
SJW POS.
I can't put those words out together. It's like,
You're such an SJW POS.
yeah,
Yes.
LOL.
LOL.
Oh, that would be a good vanity plate.
Good lord.
It's 6. You could probably get away with it. SJW POS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be one of the ones that would piss me off, though. I mean, well, now I would get it. But I mean, if I was driving down the freeway, I'm like, what is it? Their fucking initials? They spent $60 a year on their fucking initials?
His initials, her initials.
Those ones
No, you
piss
do-
me off so much because I can't figure it out. It's not making a statement. Why would you spend the money on not... get a fucking bumper sticker.
But if it was SJW with a little dot
Yeah.
POS,
Yeah.
you'd probably get it. You'd
Yeah.
probably laugh.
I was wanted
Okay.
the. I was
So
wanted.
what was your reply?
I was wanted the bumper sticker of.
Oh, MABOOM show.
I-
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's us.
The royal we, like you're saying.
Yeah.
You're watching the MABOOM show.
Yeah.
We have
Oh,
a channel.
God knows why.
Subscribe.
At this point.
Like us.
if you're still watching at this point,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
there's something wrong with you.
Like us. We do. This will all be edited out
Yeah.
because we're not lazy. Oh, I said I can tell you that Dr. Carrier had nothing to do with the choosing of Trent Horn, as I personally chose him. Me.
Yeah,
Because I did.
Yes.
And thanks.
Also,
Briggs.
that's a good point. Like they assume that I choose my debate opponents.
Yeah, no, we had long conversations about this.
There's
and-
always been these fantastic,
He
amazing
refuses-
debate opponents that I've refused to
Yeah,
debate.
he refuses
Whoever
to
these
debate
people
anybody
are.
that's good.
It
Like,
should be
he would never debate William Lane Craig, for example.
Yeah, no.
Oh wait, except that I did.
Yeah.
Except that you did.
All right. Yeah.
William Lane Craig, who incidentally refused to debate the topic I wanted to debate.
Of course.
And he even admitted it. He said I wanted to debate the historicity of the Gospels, like the validity of the Gospels, rather than the resurrection. And he said he didn't want to debate that.
Wow, why would he
Debate the
not want to
resurrection.
debate that?
You know, I'm too drunk to remember.
Probably
really?
because he knows.
There was a reason.
Because I can
knows
assume.
better.
There was a
He
reason.
knows better?
It wasn't a good one.
I
but-
think he knows better.
He knows better. Well, yes. This is like Thucydides, where he has like the different levels of explanation of why countries go to war. There's
Right.
the thing they say is the reason.
Exactly.
This
Then
is the
there's
thing that's
real
like the
reason.
actual reason.
Yeah. Because, his reputation and his honorarium depend on it.
Speaking of, did you happen to see? It was one of the most phenomenal conferences ever in the history of conferences, and it was.
That's a bold statement.
Oh,
That is a bold statement.
trust me. This is demonstrable. Beyond belief
Of course.
happened down here at Scripps. I feel so horrible. What's the gentleman's name?
The moderator?
Yeah,
The
that
British
put it on.
moderator?
Yeah,
I can never remember his
but I
name.
believe he. I think he might believe. I think he might live down here in San Diego.
Yes, he does. He lives in La Jolla.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's why
Wait
he
a
did it
minute,
at Scripps.
What is this again?
Beyond belief.
Beyond
What
belief.
year?
2009.
Oh, multiple years.
Yeah,
I think they did
2009 is the best one.
3.
But it's a convention.
Yeah.
It is the. It's on YouTube for free. You're welcome. Everyone that knows science, modern scientists, and has a particular favorite scientist, congratulations. They spoke there. He or she spoke at that conference. I promise you, every single one of my favorite scientists ever has spoke at that conference. They've done it a few years. It wasn't entirely consistent as far as annually, but I mean, they've done it. I think 3
I don't
times.
think Lawrence Krauss spoke there, did he?
Yes, he did.
Did he? What year was that? I saw him speak at a conference in
I'm gonna take that.
Burbank.
Yes, he did. Really confidently. Right back.
Wikipedia confirms Lawrence Krauss was a speaker at one of them.
Ah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, V.S. Ramachandran, J. Craig Ventnor, Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
They are
Name your favorite scientists.
it's
They were
wonderful.
there. Andrewian. On and on and on and on. Just all of my favorite scientists have spoken at this conference. The best part.
Ramachandran would have been cool to see.
Oh, he was his.
Yeah. I like Ramachandran.
His best was at this conference.
Oh wow, that's great.
His
Yeah.
best lectures were. I'm a lecture junkie, and this conference was phenomenal. But the best part about this conference is not all of the amazing scientists that spoke on just incredibly interesting topics. I mean, their lectures were short and just entertaining, as science seemingly doesn't understand. I mean, they were just.
I got 3 words for you: Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah,
That
and
one was fantastic.
You did
and
say
that's
3, right?
and I'll get to that.
3
Yeah,
words.
Neil. deGrasse
yeah.
It's 3 words. You
Yeah.
did say 3.
He said 3. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Exactly.
Okay, good.
You can check on the.
obviously important. We'll get back to that.
I can't lie about it because it's on tape.
It's on tape now. It is present.
So the best part is always at
I'm sorry. Were you talking?
not today, but just always. I can't shut up. The best part of so many lectures is usually the audience Q&A. Well, here's the best part about every single one of these lectures. Everyone in the audience was all of these amazing scientists. There
Right.
were no other people in the audience because it was so many incredible scientists speaking at all of them. It was just 20 lectures a day. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Daniel Dennett, Lawrence Krauss, V.S. Ramachandran, Andrew, it's just on and on and on. Even the Templeton Foundation, that was entertaining.
Yeah, that was entertaining.
had somebody there.
Sad but entertaining.
Oh, and that was Andrian's moment of her fucking life. Of her life. That was so
Nice.
amazing.
I loved
She
her.
was part of the audience.
I loved her more
At
right
that
there.
moment.
And she turned around and addressed him. This was a question and answer, and
So
she
good.
stood up, and he had
Watch
said
it.
something, and she stood up. She was like 3 rows in front of him, and she stood up and she turned around and spoke right to him, and she demolished him. It was so beautiful.
Be clear. She demolished him.
In the sweetest,
Oh,
most
softest
rational
the most
way that you can demolish.
soft-spoken and polite
Because it's Andrea.
and courteous.
She
and
was
courteous.
sweet.
Oh,
If I was being killed,
it was music.
I would want Anne to do it.
It was
I'm just saying
absolute
that.
music.
I'm just saying.
Nice.
Oh, it's delicious.
If I ever do some heinous crime and they commit me and they say, capital punishment, I want Anne to do it. I want her to pull the lever
Yeah,
or hit
yeah.
the switch or whatever.
Oh, it's
Because
delicious.
I will feel so good about dying.
Yeah.
That
So-
was amazing.
There was a lot there, and go enjoy. You're welcome. But I think I brought that up for the reason of Neil deGrasse Tyson's. I believe Neil deGrasse Tyson's lecture. Have you seen it? Where he discusses ancient science, and he decides that creationism throughout science. Because obviously, as you know, a lot of people say, many of the greatest scientists throughout history were believers in God. Yeah. And Neil deGrasse Tyson so wonderfully walks through history and addresses this.
If any of you out there don't want to go through, 2009 alone has, I think, 7, 5, 6, 7 2-hour segments on YouTube. If you don't want to go through those and find the Neil deGrasse Tyson one, just let me know. I'll email you the link because I have it. It goes right to where Neil deGrasse Tyson starts that talk. And it is brilliant.
Yeah.
It really is. Oh, yeah. What is our email? MABOOMshow at
Maboomshow@gmail.com.
gmail.com.
Right. Yeah.
And we'll probably answer you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, beyond belief. That's it. Enjoy. You're welcome.
Found.
But have you may have actually seen the Neil deGrasse Tyson lecture on on creationism throughout scientific history, and he says that every single time someone is confronted with just a wall of ignorance for themselves, that's where God exists. And he goes through every single famous scientist. And he goes through famous astronomers and cosmologists, and he says, once they look at biology, they go, that's where God exists. And all the famous biologists throughout time, once they look at astronomy and cosmology, they say, oh, that's where God exists. Once they come to their point of ignorance, that's where God exists.
And he particularly makes a point of talking about Newton, because Newton essentially invented calculus basically on a bet, just trying to figure out. He was talking to somebody else about the planet's movements and so forth, and he came back 2 weeks later and said, well, this is what I've determined. And his friend said, well, how did you mathematically figure that out? And he showed them. He had invented calculus to do it.
You may be able to answer better, but if I remember correctly, wasn't it that he already had done that, but had trashed the notes and forgotten, and so that he did it all over again?
Well,
if I remember correctly?
I don't know that story.
I don't know that story either.
Oh, you were
But
the worst historian of science.
Ancient science, dude. Ask me about Galen or Ptolemy, and I've got you covered. Newton, not so
but
much.
Tyson's point about that was that he has read every single
Word of Newton.
word that Newton ever wrote. And if a guy like Neil deGrasse Tyson, I don't generally tend to have heroes, but if a guy like Neil deGrasse Tyson says that Newton is the smartest genius to ever walk the earth, I'm inclined to believe that he's probably at least in the top 5.
Yeah.
And what
I'm afraid so.
What he was so upset about was that Newton got to some other problem and said, well, that's God. And what upset him about that was that it was a far less difficult problem to solve than the other problems that he had already solved. And he said Newton could have done that in an evening if he'd wanted to, and that's what disturbed him so much. Was that not that Newton couldn't do it, but that he had done all of this other amazing stuff, and then, you know, got to some problem that was essentially a mundane problem that he could have easily solved, and threw up his hands and went, you know, that's God.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, you know, brains work in different ways.
Well, that's what that was
Yeah.
Tyson's point about Newton. So,
Yeah.
and I tend to think that if Tyson says it's easier than calculus, I'll believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's easier than inventing calculus,
Right.
Inventing,
easier
yeah.
than calculus,
Yeah.
Yeah, so what say you?
Oh, that's right. We have a guest.
I have no idea how we ended up at that point in this discussion.
Well, we
Yeah, but
never
I am-
have any idea.
But
how
I am curious because
Probably alcohol.
You did say there were multiple insults that were actually compliments, and we only covered one. So I knew about that one. So I'm kind of curious what the other ones are.
Oh, that. Ooh,
Are there
well,
other ones?
my memory is not working well right now. But I thought that. I mean, it was mainly the SJW stuff.
Yeah.
Possibly always. I don't know how someone can debate the. Oh no, that's overwhelming evidence again.
Oh, that's him. Yeah.
And then.
we
Oh,
do. We
and-
get,
I hope that
launched.
person's watching.
Long discussion.
I hope we do get. Well, we do get these kind of insults that are actually compliments all the time. We talk to people personally too. People will very often say something to you as if it's an insult.
Yeah.
Like
give me an example.
like,
I'm curious about that.
like, well, you just had too much schooling.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I just.
You're too educated.
I just.
That's not an insult.
There's so many of those in exactly those words, but I was just reading someone similar along those lines. Enjoyable. Trent is a little irritated, but Carrier is well versed in the sources. I wonder who.
Who was?
HU is who was the scholar. I wish I could give you all the letters, but scholar Carrier was
refuting
referring to about writing a counter book. N.T. Wright, Richard Bachman.
Referring. Okay.
This was at the end. Okay,
Yeah.
well, just in case anyone
Yes.
hasn't watched the debate or probably the last episode,
Yeah.
I think we discussed this. But Trent Horn as well and Carrier both discussed that the quality of book as far as the scholarship and research that Carrier just put out on Historicity of Jesus is actually surprisingly not matched on the other side. As we've discussed multiple times, and as you would assume probably, the assumption has always been just that Jesus existed, and what was his life, and what did he say, or what did he or did not do, what can we accept from an academic or scholarship or historian point of view. We discussed earlier Bart Ehrman's book. Not exactly a.
And in the last episode, we talked about this too. The idea,
Yes.
that even Trent Horn admitted there's no.
Yeah.
He couldn't think of a book to recommend.
Yeah,
for the other side.
if you don't want to watch the whole debate, jump to the end so you can see even the Christian apologetic. His business is apologetics for Catholicism.
Yeah, and read my book and
And they
prepped for the
have a
debate.
lot to be sorry for.
Very. Oh.
I'll say that.
So openly admitted that there's no book to oppose Carrier. It doesn't mean that there's no facts or points of view or anything to
Right.
oppose what Carrier
no
has
one's
seen and
come
what-
out with.
No one's-
best
yeah.
And I commented like the last episode. It's like I wish there was, and had hoped there would be.
And in the debate you did.
Yeah,
And
and certainly
yeah.
there could be a much better book defending historicity than any that has been written so far, but no one's done it yet, and all the scholars I know who are interested in doing it say they have other things to do.
And
Oh,
you
convenience.
even mentioned in that
Convenience.
the last time that Trent Horn didn't want to even bring up Bart Ehrman's book because he understands that it's not a good.
Oh, he
defense.
himself admitted at the end,
It's
if I
easy-
remember correctly.
it's easy to tear up. That's
Yeah,
that's
I
the
remember
problem.
him saying at the end, that's
But
was
this
a bit of an
guy,
embarrassment.
this guy you're quoting named two other people, whom I do know.
Right, N.T. Wright and
N.T. Wright I'm kind of convinced is a really awful historian. And
Sorry.
he's I say that he's very renowned. I don't think he actually has any relevant qualifications or has sufficiently relevant qualifications in his field, but he is renowned. But he's written a lot of like monumental books about the resurrection of Jesus. His whole thing is about defending the resurrection of Jesus. But he's all over the place in that, and I've written against him in various aspects in my other writings. But he's never really taken on this particular argument, so he's not the best person to recommend for the historicity of Jesus, especially because he's a Christian apologist, so that like half of the stuff he says you can just throw out.
Yeah.
But there's no way for a layperson to know that they're being smoked.
Right.
Right? That you can't tell from, like, you can't tell the difference between a sound argument and an unsound one.
Mm-hmm.
And in the case of N.T. Wright, for example, he bases some of his arguments on the certain treatise of Origen, for example, which only exists in the Latin translation of Rufinus, who Jerome complained, and we have letters from Jerome complaining that Rufinus actually doctored Origen and altered everything that he said. And Jerome complains about this. So we know that the Latin translation created by Rufinus is unreliable, and yet N.T. Wright bases a lot of his arguments on this unreliable translation. He didn't know that this whole history underlied the text. So that's the example of the sort of thing that the layperson who's reading the text is not going to know that N.T. Wright is making this mistake. There are other things he does, like N.T. Wright has a whole section about there's no prior examples of dying and rising gods, and he talks about like a few instances that are really total straw man examples, and ignores all the other evidence that there is. And this whole chapter that's supposed to be thorough misses like 90% of the evidence that it should be discussing.
Right.
But there's no way for a layperson to know that he's ignoring 90% of the evidence when you're looking at that.
If they're not a scholar themselves and
Yeah.
knowing everything that's on the table.
This is, I think, one of the things that William Lane Craig is so brilliant
Oh,
at.
yeah.
He so brilliantly constructs an argument and so confidently speaks
Yeah.
that it sounds as if it's irrefutable.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't carefully follow the logic, first of all,
Yeah.
or B, know something about the subject,
Right.
you're going to be lost.
Oh, so
you're going to
true.
just say,
So true.
that guy knows what he's talking about because
Yeah.
he's quick on his feet and he's very confident about what he's speaking about.
So confident.
And
Yeah,
he
yeah,
and
he
the
projects it.
presuppositional stuff is completely natural to him. You don't really see it. It's
Yeah.
not real obvious.
Right.
So I think this is one of the problems that the people that are looking at these debates that they have.
And then the other one, and that also reminds me, the other author that's named is Richard Balcom,
Right.
who was completely torn apart by the academic reviewers of his book, by the way. Balcom wrote a book called, I think, Jesus and the Eyewitnesses. Let me make sure of that.
We pause here for station
Yeah.
identification.
Now to another commercial break.
It's very difficult to Google when drunk.
So
it's called
So we
Jesus.
got that going for
It's
us.
called Jesus and
Which
the
is
Eyewitnesses.
nice.
No, actually, let me take that back. It's actually kind of easy to Google when drunk because Google fixes all your mistakes.
Yeah, it's true.
So we have that going for us.
I want to be clear. Your car will not correct your mistakes.
Yeah.
We are driving nowhere soon.
Jesus and the Eyewitnesses is Richard Balcom's book. But, no.
Wait, hold on. Wait.
Oh!
It was Jesus, the way he typed it. Jesus ND Eyewitnesses.
Yeah, well, I was just... Also,
yeah.
It's an iPad keyboard, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
especially difficult. But yeah, at least I got Balcom's name spelled right.
AD.
He already admitted drunk.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah. Definitely. Now I'm going to go into my book.
It's the only
book.
way we can get people to come on the show.
Oh!
Is just get them drunk.
This is a book. It's really good. You should get it.
I worked really hard at it.
If you didn't hear the plug at the beginning of the show,
There was some work put into this.
it's a thick book.
A little bit. Let's
see if I have it in here.
Call your sister.
She would know.
Yeah, but she can tell us what's on her shirt.
Yeah.
That's
would be
already
worth it.
covered.
Oh, we do have some Bibles. Any more?
Oh, but that depends if any of your reviewers hadn't things. I like.
Oh.
Questions.
Well, anyway, Richard Balcom, there's an issue of the Journal for the Study of the Historical Jesus. I don't remember which issue of it, but it's almost the entire issue is dedicated to critiques of Balcom's work. And you have people like Crossley and so forth, the major scholars on this, who point out all of almost the entire thing is based on what I call possibilitor fallacies, which is the possibly, therefore, probably. So it's like, well, it could be this, therefore it is this. So a lot, like almost all of his arguments are based on that kind of reasoning, which is not sound way to reason. Now I know.
I feel I should have a
So many
computer.
times, I don't know where to go.
It's fun.
Well, I have one. I just don't have one in front of me.
I like it the way I said it. I'm looking for Bible verses.
Bible verse. Oh, that people try to quote in.
Yeah, I'm
defense
seeing if
of
anyone
historicity.
quoted a Bible verse.
Yeah.
Someone complained about the pain of listening to a Christian quote Bible verses.
Oh, really?
Well, I can't
But
disagree
it wasn't a
with
Bible verse.
What is going on? What are you doing there?
I'm looking through all the
Oh, okay.
quotations. See if I can find a Bible verse that someone quotes.
That's far out. Okay.
It's amazing
Wait,
that
what
we
is
have
that?
this many
Go
people.
back to that. What was that?
Oh, okay,
Someone
I'll
had
go
a
back down.
syllogistic argument.
I think that Sean
Tell me when
actually
to stop.
enters some of these bogus arguments.
P1, the historical method is used by historians. P2, historians arrive at different conclusions using the historical method. P3, therefore, the historical method is false. You say P3 does not follow and is a non sequitur. Who's you? Who do they refer? Who are they arguing against?
Jacob Rwanda. He's from Rwanda.
Is he?
His name's Jacob.
Yeah.
He's from Rwanda.
All right.
Makes sense. Oh no, he's talking
Wow,
about
that is a
Brown.
really long.
It's really long.
That is a long comment.
We don't have time for that.
Wow.
Obviously.
I was impressed that someone had
We've only
They-
spent
attempted a syllogism
2 hours on nonsense.
and even numbered the premises in the syllogism. That's kind of funny.
Happens on YouTube. It's real intellectual place. Where we are.
Alas.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the only
Yep.
place we could be.
All right, what else have we got in here? What else have we got in there?
Did
Oh,
we
shit.
have anything here today, or we just piss a bunch
I
of
mean-
people
Couldn't
off?
find anything biblical.
Let me go back down. You know, why do you think that women are important?
What? Come on, no one says that there.
I mean, they complain about you being a feminist.
No,
you
do
know.
they? Do they? Come on. No, they say social
Somebody
justice
did
warrior.
at some point.
Yeah,
Oh, they do.
Feminist,
Feminist?
yeah.
Oh,
Come on, you're not unaware of this.
You gotta tell me that one. I gotta see that one. Where they use the word feminist.
Remember when I said I was lazy?
Come on. You can search. Can't you do like
There's
this?
300. Okay, well, all right.
Can't you search the
The
comments?
problem is I can search everything that's showing, but every single one of these comments says read more because YouTube doesn't show
Yeah.
all 1,000 words.
Doesn't that... Okay, so doesn't that thing work?
Oops. Yeah. Hold on.
Like,
Hold on.
Use
Hold
the
on.
thingy
I feel like
and the other thingy.
in Pulp Fiction when he's
We
saying,
are
like,
editing
get
this,
these-
right?
They're hosing the guys down. It's like, get that
So
part there,
sorry
get
if we
that.
didn't
It's-
edit
you know, it's
this.
like, oh wait, you missed the part. Like, get
We're
that.
not editing this. I'm sorry, were you talking?
Pulp Fiction. I was referencing Pulp Fiction. But, so you can't find it? Come on, man.
I put in feminist. Nothing came up because there like,
was
the problem with
at
this
least
video.
one comment.
This is the debate. I'm looking at all the comments that you find people wrote under the most of you are not fine people, but under the debate between Sir Dr. Carrier.
I'm just fascinated by the idea that in a debate of the historicity of Jesus, that
And then
my feminism would come up.
Oh no, it came up all
It's
over the
even relevant.
And that Mr. the Horn. The problem is every single one. These are not like Twitter comments. You know, no one wrote one sentence. Every single one of these comments says read more. You have to click the read more. So I'm only. What do you got there?
No, it's not helpful. I was trying to.
Does
Google.
anyone else want to just
I was trying
fucking
to see if-
Google shit? What?
I tried it.
Our podcast.
I tried Google. It's not helpful.
It's not working.
No.
It's not working.
All right.
No, shut up. It's not helpful.
Well, did we
So,
resolve anything
no.
here? we just piss a bunch of people?
You know, it definitely pissed a bunch of people off.
Okay,
But
good.
Wait,
It was a good episode.
in the YouTube app, the
Right.
mobile app.
yeah.
How do you see comments? Where are the comments in there?
Yeah, I can't
No one
help
has
you
an
with
answer
your
to that. Okay.
with your tab right now. But
There's no button for it. I don't understand.
yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
We've come to the
Maybe
end of
if-
our electronic prowess.
Maybe if you
Why would it not be
maybe
there?
if you pray. Say, do you
That's just weird.
to get back to, because we've mentioned this before, but
Oh well.
the historicity of. I should not pour another drink for myself. Jesus Christ.
So you've tried the same thing twice.
Okay, look. So the
With
historicity
similar
of
results. In fact, identical results.
I don't understand why
Here
can't
you
you see
go,
the
Jim.
comments in the app? What's the point of this?
Oh, that's good.
it's simple.
It's
Is
simple.
it?
The historicity of Jesus.
Yeah.
I find that me personally, and a lot of atheists like me, don't give a shit.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry.
We talked about that last episode.
We did.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make that clear again.
Yeah.
It is entertaining to me because if Christians can't even present a decent, solid, valid, substantial, supported in any way argument for the historicity of some dude that actually
That's
may have
good.
existed.
At
That's
least
damn good.
water.
Oh. I only present the best.
Wait, did you?
Yes, I did.
That's not syrup.
Yeah, that's syrup.
I'm
Oh, it's good.
no. I'm fairly certain that the physics of this liquid do not conform to.
I'm gonna
syrup.
allow the audience. I'm gonna allow the audience to determine how fast that liquid moved. Water
Not
or
syrup.
slightly syrupy.
Really not simple syrup.
Really?
Make
It says so.
your own judgments.
Oh, that's nice. Yes. it says so.
Obviously, you're
And
no
the-
decent
hey,
historian. If
and the
it
New
says so,
Testament
it is.
says Jesus
It is.
existed.
Yeah.
It's done. The Bible said it. It happened. That's it. All right. I don't know how we got on that tactic. All right. Do we have anything else?
Yeah, I was talking about something, but
Go to
Right.
the text. When in doubt, always go to the text.
yeah.
My son.
What is
Young
Carrier
Padawan.
doing with his mouth?
Every question mark time he speaks.
I think it's sound waves. Next question.
Speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, every time you speak, what are you doing with your mouth?
The fact
That's
also,
a weird
I
comment.
use my tongue and my teeth.
That is the weirdest comment.
the fact that it's YouTube, man. Don't worry about it. The fact that the Gospels can be it's the only place we're on. Why are we in the only place we're on that I don't fucking give a shit about? The fact that the Gospels can be debated is fact enough that these writings are not from any god, but made up by man, not woman, trying to lie to man.
What say you?
I don't even understand what that's saying there.
Really?
I think it was clear.
Well, let's just say that
I
this
thought that was a decent point.
This comes from someone who calls themselves Hornswoggler. No, Hornswazzler. Sorry.
Yeah, I get it.
Hornswazzler. Hornswazzler.
Hornswoggle.
Okay, you got to
I get
next
you.
next time you do that.
Cheers.
Seriously.
I like
That
Hornswoggle.
could've
There was
I thought that was a decent point.
There was a point there.
Your touchpad is right
Yeah,
here.
no.
It's true.
No, I think it's a decent point. The fact
The
that
fact that he's drunk is the only reason he can interpret that.
maybe true. Listen,
But made up by man trying to be.
don't worry about the man and woman part.
Trying
I
to
think
be
that was
two-man.
it. That was just thrown in there to throw you off the track.
Trying to
It
be
was.
two-man. All right.
Pay no attention to the woman part.
Stop being a piece of shit feminist. Okay?
No,
Trying
no.
to
That's,
lie to
the
man.
that's
fact-
a piece of shit social
No,
justice
there's no
warrior.
woman in there. It says.
I know, I added that part.
All
Don't worry
right.
about it. He didn't add that. He
Hey,
didn't- that-
Hornswazzler deserves his reputation.
I always add woman. Okay?
Oh, I see.
Sorry.
Gotcha, yeah.
So, anyways,
It's the feminist in
the
it.
fact that the Gospels need to be debated, is that not a telling sign that, well, maybe this was written by a man and not,
A god.
omniscient?
Right. Or inspired.
Sure.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I mean, no one
Well, I
one
think that's
treats,
obvious.
Yeah, no one treats the Gospels the same as they should treat them. The same as all the other religious literature of the time, like the biography of Romulus. It's the Gospel of Romulus,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
No one's like trying to harmonize it.
There's plenty of other gospels too that just didn't make it into the canon.
Oh yeah. Like we talked about last time.
Yes.
Over 40.
Over 40, of which we have, what, 20 or 25
Somewhere around there. I don't know the exact number.
extant?
but we have fragments or quotations of quite many. All right, what do we got?
Sanford Son says,
That was a great show.
says,
Sanford and Son?
yeah, and they say, it must be difficult to debate Richard Carrier on this subject matter.
No, it is most difficult
Thank you.
to debate Richard Carrier on this subject matter.
These glasses are not helping my drunk.
Again, he doesn't claim that a mere mortal Jesus did not exist, but that there is more evidence that he didn't actually exist than did exist.
Wow.
What say you?
Somebody saw
That's
the debate and
actually
got
a
it.
fairly accurate
They
description.
got it.
Uh-huh.
They got it.
Like
Somebody
they got the
actually got it.
logical form of
Right.
the argument correct.
Right.
So, well done.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I like that.
Well done to you, whoever you are.
Sanford Son.
Sanford son.
Sanford Son.
Well done, yeah.
Quote unquote,
I know what this is.
Zero Spin says, the first Christian believed Jesus existed is not any kind of argument or evidence. That's fact.
It's like saying
UFOs.
and Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster exist because there are people now who firmly believe in their existence.
Fact.
Can't believe anyone's smart enough to graduate a school could use that as evidence.
Quote unquote
school.
evidence.
Yeah, any school.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly rational.
This
Although
reminds
badly
me of,
written.
in Canada, I was giving lectures about the historicity, this book, Historicity of Jesus, various places in Canada. And one of the venues I went to, there was a Christian who came in and passed out all of these leaflets about, like, refuting me. Like, it was about why Richard Carrier is wrong. And they had, like, all of these quotations from these scholars and all of this evidence and stuff. And it was funny. It's like they were passing it out before the event, and so the organizer said, "Hey, this guy's passing this thing." And I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever. If I have time, I'll mention it." And so I get up and do the talk, and I basically refute like 90% of what they're talking about. And then so I said, and I have like some time left over, and so I said, "Well, so there's this guy circulating this, and he's in the audience." There's this guy circulating this stuff around, and I pretty much covered everything on it because everybody's reading it. So I know, like they've seen my talk, so they know what my answers are, and so I picked the things that I didn't cover in the planned talk, and I picked them out, and I started talking about Josephus. Let's talk about Josephus. Let's talk about Tacitus. It's like all of these things that he's claiming in there. So that was quite an amusing opportunity for me.
Do you ever get bothered that I mean, if you were doing your research on Socrates, on whoever, anyone other than someone that's named in a quote unquote good book or holy scripture, I mean, you wouldn't get the type of arguments. I mean, the absurd amount of hours, days, years that you spent researching, one sentence.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and then the type of arguments that you get against that from the people that have studied the amount that they have,
Yeah.
on the subject.
Right.
How do you deal with that versus the person that does the same amount of hours, days, weeks, months, years on some sentence that some other historical figure said that has no dogmatic beliefs tied to it?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying, obviously. I'm drunk and I'm trying to get a question across.
Yeah, I didn't follow you at all.
That's surprising. That is surprising.
I followed him, but
Did you?
that's because I know him.
Yeah.
So let me try
Yes.
a translation.
Right.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I like that. I like
So-
that. Yes.
Thank you.
So what he's saying is that if you're doing all of
No,
this-
that's wrong.
okay. if you're now, you stay out of this.
Okay.
Because remember.
No, I get it.
Sometimes
It's a good idea.
Sometimes I am a better you than you are. Remember, we covered this earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
So, in other words, and perhaps sometimes you are a better me than I am. I doubt it, but it could be true.
We're still trying experiments.
Sure.
We're all about experimenting.
Yeah.
I think what he's saying is basically, how do you feel about the fact that you're doing all this research on a person who has dogmatic significance to people versus
So much emotional ties to it.
emotional ties to it versus people who do all of the same kind of historical research on somebody that doesn't have all of those emotional ties,
like Socrates.
like
you said,
Socrates
for
or
example.
Yes.
even somebody more obscure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like Apollonius of Tyana would be an example of someone like, are we convinced that he existed or was he an invented figure? And I think the scholars would agree that we're not entirely sure either way. Like, they're like, well...
Right, and nobody really cared.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. Well, if he didn't exist, it's not devastating. We can adjust.
Yeah, it doesn't change your afterlife ideas.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not, like, appalling to suggest that he didn't exist. Like, how dare you suggest that he didn't exist?
It's not blasphemy.
Because
Right,
there is some legitimate question about Socrates, for example, as well. But nobody gets too up in arms about whether he.
Yeah, even if the evidence for Socrates is overwhelming. I mean, like if we had evidence for Jesus that we have for Socrates, this wouldn't be a question.
I understand.
But even if we didn't, it's like Socrates. You could imagine a scenario where Socrates was invented by Plato, for example, as a fictional character representing Plato's views. No one would be like crestfallen.
Right. Exactly.
Right. You know, it's like, well, oh, that's interesting.
No one would change their views on same-sex marriage.
Right. Yeah. No, right. Yes.
Or whether women were equal.
Right.
Yeah. Or condemn social justice warriors.
Yeah. Pieces of shit. Oh, was I supposed to cheers?
You were. You're slow. You're slow on that.
I was too busy insulting.
You enjoy the podcast at your own pace.
Yeah. Now, have we really gone through all the criticisms of that? All the questions on that?
Oh,
There's
Hundreds. Yeah, I know, but
they're pretty much repetitive.
Yeah, that's what my point is.
And unfortunately phrased.
Yeah, and I mean,
unfortunately phrased.
And some of them get into like one sentence of some line, and
but were any like appalling, like you said, or interesting, like?
No.
Yeah, well,
not particularly.
That really verifies my personal experience as well.
Yeah.
See,
sorry.
if somebody had asked me the same question that he tried to ask you about you, I would have probably said, not knowing you.
Well,
that I don't think it matters to a person. If I do a lot of research on somebody, whether it's a person that's really significant to lots of people or not. Mm-hmm. If I've done all this research, it doesn't really matter to me how emotionally tied to that person that other people are. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in the facts.
Yeah, right.
So like Dawkins says, I don't care, what you think or how you feel about it. What I'm interested in is what's true.
That's
what
right.
are the facts?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yep, that's the story of my life.
Yeah.
Someone said that Horn basically, as a summation of Horn's entire position for the entire debate was, oh, okay, well, let's move to another passage. What say you?
No, that's kind of an accurate description of what happened in the debate. Yeah,
I really.
There was a lot of that. Let's move on.
Yeah, I really enjoy Trump, but that's just kind of what it is. I attended this debate.
Let's move on. I gotta classify that as. Can you put that in the categories of fallacies?
That's the
let's
argument
move on
from
fallacy.
No, it's the argument from let's move on. Or the argument from next, please.
That?
I would call it the argument from next, please.
I think that could actually diagram. You could diagram that out.
What is Latin for pass?
Yeah. We get an argument all the time that I call an argument from right out of right out of my ass.
Right.
Which is when it's not really even an argument at all. They just literally pull something right out of their ass.
Yeah.
And they throw it at you as if it's in some way
We call
factual.
that in the Coast Guard. We call that a ham sandwich because it was a ham sandwich you pull out of your ass. But it just became
Thanks for
shortened
sharing
to a ham
Lot-
sandwich. That's
A lot
a
of
ham-
sailors put
we would
their
just
ham
say,
sandwiches
"That's
in
a
their
ham
ass.
That's
Call
a
it the
ham
argument
ham
from right out of the
sandwich,
middle of my ass.
Life
Zero
of Brian.
Zero Spin again says, Life of Brian best explains Jesus. He was just some dude who had some good ideas he learned about, and then jumped at him and
And then
called
the
him
people
Messiah.
jumped at him.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's pretty obvious. That's an interesting conclusion.
right. Yeah, that's probably the most problematic part
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
I mean,
it makes
is
sense to me. Therefore, it's obvious, and therefore, it's true.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty obvious.
Yeah.
That
No,
could
it's
be
a common-
problematic.
So this is
Commonly
this
what
is
people
always
do.
a problem when people are on your side but are making bad arguments for your side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's annoying
Yes.
because people do it all the time. We get
Yeah,
this
I
all
deal
the
with
time.
that a lot.
Have you ever dealt with that?
A lot.
We may be doing it right now.
Yeah. So ironic how Trent Horn states that in order to believe the mythical view of Jesus, you have to believe some really bizarre ideas about some really implausible ideas. Really, Trent? Whereas believing that Jesus was the result of a miraculous conception who would walk on water, perform miracles, make water out of mines, such as magically being able to fish and breed bread multiply, I assume it. Giving sight to the blind, healing lepers, bringing blah 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 blah, etc.
Yeah.
See into future, and finally he was able to be resurrected himself. Takes no bizarre and implausible ideas. Congratulations. And with that comment, Trent lost the debate.
It's an interesting point. I mean,
It's unfortunate.
It's technically
again,
technically
unfortunately
unfair.
phrased.
It is.
It's technically unfair
Yeah.
in terms of the debate was only about the mundane Jesus, but it is a valid point that Trent Horn himself, obviously, really, regardless of what he was, the position he had to defend in the debate,
Fact.
really does believe all of that shit.
Yeah.
So if he thinks a valid reason to reject my view is that it requires adopting some bizarre assumptions, if that's a valid reason to abandon a belief, then he should no longer be a Catholic.
Fact.
So that is a valid argument in that respect.
The Truth 8720. Shout out. I find that Trent was substantive and Carrier was assumative.
Wow.
I'd love to hear more about that, but they didn't write anymore.
That's
What
it.
say you?
Without an example, I can't comment.
No, he wrote more.
Well, I think we have to assume.
Vector, 3D and stuff. We're about to fuck up your shit. It got to be annoying when Carrier refers to his book.
Yeah,
Where are our communion shots?
not here.
They're
We'll have to simulate.
behind you. I agree with Trent that if you set the bar too far, I think we already discussed this, but for any mundane details, then nothing can be proven. That's like saying we can't put the stars in petri dishes, then we can't prove so on. Okay, this just comes
Without
back
referencing
to
Socrates, it's another.
yeah.
Your method would prove Socrates doesn't exist.
And this just
Yeah.
comes to a large confusion versus your position versus what you're questioning the other position, which is your position. Just questioning the other position. What you're saying is not necessarily that there's no possible way that an earthly PBUH
It's
could have existed.
Preponderance of probability.
Right. What you're saying is, what you're saying so confidently should not be so confidently.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Is that fair?
And yet, I actually explain this usually.
Right.
every
And
time.
you and show how you did it and how you got to the odds that you came up
Right,
with. And and I thought you gave the odds very liberally.
Yeah.
At
Right.
1 in 3. I mean, that's
Yeah, the
I mean,
upper bound of my margin of error, 1
Right.
in 3.
1 in 12,000 is probably more. I would
That's my opinion.
put
on
it higher than that, but
Right.
But
Sure,
I'm not
it's possible.
a historian.
There are a few occasions in my book where I say that I might be, even my own personal estimates might be too favorable to the historicity of Jesus.
Yeah.
I think my subjectively my personal problem with all of this is just like I can't even deal with a probability conversation about an actual guy named Jesus existing that somehow spawned the character that we now find in today's modern English New Testament. This is just all just... We've already blown our PG-13. Fucking nonsense. I mean, everyone that is a Christian that believes in Jesus today, that calls themselves a Christian, that's you get it. There's nothing that you believe about Jesus that any scholar on an academic level can accept.
Right. Yeah.
You know, just take Richard Carrier out of this fucking video. Take his book out of the fucking argument. Everything you believe about Jesus is utter nonsense according to the consensus of scholars today.
Right.
And that says nothing.
It's like Bart Ehrman's Jesus Interrupted,
Right.
which covers that whole subject. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, no one accepts that Jesus turned water into wine or that he is divine and other things that rhyme. I mean, that's just utter nonsense to any rational thought. That's bogus.
And most
you cannot accept
most
that.
of us that are involved in this conversation about religion are of that opinion. I mean, most of the people that are interested in the historicity of Jesus are actually Christians. I don't think that there's very many people interested in the actual historicity of Jesus that are not believers, because it makes no difference whether there was a Jesus or not.
Except for, like I said in the last episode, all those atheists who are sure he didn't exist and use that to clobber Christians over the head.
But that's a shitty argument to begin
I
with.
agree, as I pointed out in the last episode. Yes. But there
So-
are a lot of them who
Yeah.
argue that.
And so I don't care about them either. I think that they're a minority. I mean, most people.
There go half our fans.
What we've just lost 5 people. Damn! We worked awfully hard to get those 10. So I there were a lot of people that came to the debate from both sides. This was, by the way, of all the events we've ever done, we got the most Christians at this one by far.
The debate.
That's true.
The debate, yeah.
At the debate.
Yeah.
And that's why. Is because Christians are really interested in this. And
Well, that's one of the-
secular people are not so much.
One of the greatest uses for debates is that it gets more people in to hear you speak than would ever have shown up otherwise.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Two things
Yeah.
on this. Yeah.
Yeah.
One is we actually had an issue setting this up because we had, this is the first event that Jim and I have done a lot of large events. Locally speaking.
Yeah.
We've had
All
a large.
of them fantastic. might I
Amazing.
say.
We're incredible
Put
people.
together really well and pulled off with a plume. And we don't even know what that word means.
I think it's a plum, but anyway.
Point is, we like fruit.
Whether it's a plum or a peach.
Yeah.
The last one was a peach. Let me just tell you.
We've never, ever, ever had atheists have complaints about our events, except for this one because they didn't like the subject, which was weird because they bought tickets,
Right. It
showed
said
up,
what it was.
and then we're like, "What the fuck? This is exactly what I paid for."
I don't
And
exactly.
I don't care about this.
I don't care about the historicity of Jesus.
It is,
That was the title at the top of the page when you registered.
That
Which-
ties into what that other guy was talking about. They wanted me to come in and talk about the cookie cutter Christ theory, the whole idea there were all these other Jesus Christs who were crucified before Jesus.
Right.
So they want that kind of approach, whereas I'm not going to present anything that I can document. Right?
Yeah.
So
Well, to be fair,
reality is subtler and more complicated than everybody wants it.
You know, but Richard, what you need to realize as a speaker, an entertainer, an author, a seller of your
there's some things you need to
facts.
understand as an entertainer and
Yeah.
a seller of facts, and he's about to tell you what they are.
Yes.
Listen.
I was following that.
Listen, PhD, of which I am not. What we people care about is stuff that can be expressed entirely in Twitter form.
Right. If it can't be proved in 140 characters,
Yeah.
it's not true.
Yeah,
That's right.
No, it's obviously
So the
just
first
fucking
140 characters of that book are all that matter.
bogus.
Let's read those.
I'm curious what they are. Let me
yeah.
read them.
Proceed.
Can you count 140 characters?
I'm going to guess.
That's
I'm
what
going to guesstimate, and I don't know. There's probably a preface in here that I
You
need
can
to
skip the table of
skip.
contents.
I will
Skip the
count
preface.
while he reads.
Skip the preface. That's
And,
fair.
and the quote at
And
the
the
top,
quote at
because
the
that
top,
would be.
that's
And
fair.
by
And I'm going
count,
to guess that this is about.
I mean sing.
All right. Chapter 1.
Chapter 1, the problem. That doesn't count.
Fallacious.
Section. It's a section heading. You're right. It's valid. Doesn't count.
1, isn't this just bunk? I don't really think that's bunk.
Oh,
Here we go. In 1999, do dates count?
Sure.
I wrote an expose
word.
for Skeptical Inquirer on a then recent Fox documentary about ancient Egypt. I had never been interested in the crazy theories going around about the pyramids, but when a major television network started presenting them as credible news, and with suspect tactics at that, it
Cut. Welcome to Twitter.
Thank you. 140.
That's it. That's the whole book. All the rest of it, bullshit. Or we could read the last 140 words.
As-
Or you want me
as-
to do
as-
Oh,
that?
that's fascinating.
Well, as
I'm
Einstein,
curious.
That might be better.
as
because
Einstein
I'm
said,
curious.
if you ever,
if you can't get your point across
on Twitter,
yeah,
then you don't have one. Hey, E equals MC squared, bitches.
quote unquote Einstein.
In 2,000 words in a peer-reviewed academic
That's right.
journal. No.
We can't simply rely on intuition or gut instinct when deciding what really did happen or who really did exist, since that simply leans on unexamined assumptions and relies on impressions and instincts that are often not reliable guides to the truth. We need to make it explicit why we believe what we do rather than something else. And we need this as much in history as in any other field. And by the method I have deployed here, I have confirmed our intuitions in the study of Jesus are wrong. He did not, if I do say so, my goddamn self. And
He's not in there.
okay.
And he's way over 140 characters already.
He did not exist. I have made my case. To all objective and qualified scholars, I appeal to you all as a community. The ball is now in your court, bitches.
Okay. There was some interpretive license there, but yeah.
Hey, come on! I did pretty well, don't you think?
Yes.
I got the gist of it. I wouldn't say I misrepresented the concepts in any way.
Valid.
All right.
Valid. That's a valid point.
There's a recent popular comment on your debate that's actually a very old comment that he just quoted. He actually quoted incorrectly. He put New Testament where Old Testament was. But basically, Christianity, what he meant was Old Testament. All that Eve stuff is baloney, but I still have an imaginary friend who magically manipulates the world for me, and he also magically impregnated a woman 2,000 years ago or more.
Uh-huh.
And she bore him a son who underwent an ancient ritual of
Okay.
blood sacrifice. Wait, oh, there's more. In
Wait,
order,
now how much would
I
you
know
pay?
exactly where this
yeah, no, I know, but they don't. Some of you don't. Sorry. To dispel a curse laid upon me, thus ensuing, I will be immortal. Although I've never seen this work for anyone else before. New Testament, the belief, the world that the belief that some cosmic Jesus zombie will grant you immortality if you symbolically eat his flesh and telepathically tell him that you accept him as your master, so he can rid you of evil embedded in man's soul because some rib woman was tricked into eating a magic apple by a talking snake. What say you, Dr. Carrier?
I can't take credit for those, but in my talk for Skepticon, are Christians delusional? Was the talk. So you can Google that. Skepticon, Richard Carrier. Are Christians delusional? Shit. It's not a book, but it is a video, so it's close enough.
Whatever.
Those quotations are in there. I didn't originate them, but I did use them.
Mm.
Well, I think the great Sam Harris put it best when he said that if you wake up one morning and you're eating your breakfast and you think that your pancake is actually turned in to the body of Elvis, you are a lunatic.
Yeah.
But if you think the same thing essentially about a wafer, you're just a Catholic.
And Jesus Christ. The body of Jesus Christ. You're just Catholic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jesus had a lot of flesh.
Mm-hmm.
All this flesh that's been eaten.
Oh yes, yeah. Like the crosses that are sold that apparently were the original cross.
Yeah.
Is it apparently
if you added up all the fragments,
enough wood to replace all the trees that have ever been lost?
Yeah.
A little bit bigger than the one in Brazil.
Yes.
Well,
fragments of the true cross, as they say.
We really appreciate you stopping by and
Thanks,
spending some
yeah.
more time with us.
Thanks.
It's always a pleasure. And
yeah, and I appreciate you guys getting me drunk on Glenlivet.
This, and if any of you want to come on the show, we'll get you equally as drunk or more. And we want to thank you for being on the show. We'll see you next time on Make a Believer Out of Me.
Cheers. Also, nice shirt.
I noticed you couldn't stand it anymore. You had to put the jacket on. It really doesn't look very good on you.
I didn't notice that.
Oh, he totally did. After,
I'll cover
after
that
5
shit up.
minutes, he was like, "Fuck that!"
So ugly.
It really doesn't work with your eyes.
No.
It doesn't at all. Or your beard, really.
And now I have to urinate.
Oh.